Hi, folks. I'm Tad Sturmer. I teach public history at Johns Hopkins University, and I'm the author of A Resistance History of the United States, coming to you next spring. Let's talk about how, under abusive authority, all voices are marginalized voices. All communities are marginalized communities, even if you think you're on the inside. So here's your resistance history dispatch of the day. Abusive authority, whether it answers to a crown, an Eastern European strongman, or a 21st century billionaire autocrat, doesn't hand out friends of the regime club cards. It manufactures distance, first between itself and the obviously expendable, then between the insiders who think proximity equals safety. The circle of privilege shrinks until it hugs the throne, and then everyone else ends up on the curb. So let's talk about history's cold splash. A couple of examples. Reconstruction in the 1870s. White farmers applauded as the Klan and white leagues gunned down black office holders and shut black polling places. Weeks later, those same riders were collecting crop lien debts, burning barns, and throttling wages to keep cotton cheap. Build terror machinery for one group, and it quickly finds other targets. Triangle Shirtwaist, 1911. Owners ignored immigrant women's 1909 strike for unlocked exits and fire drills. When the factory burned, 146 workers, mostly teenage girls, died behind bolted doors. Within a year, the city discovered its own daughters in identical fire traps, proof the cost-cutting ethos didn't care whose last name was sewn on the blouse. And the McCarthy-era in the 1950s. How much of this sounds familiar? University presidents quietly fired or pushed out radical lecturers, assuming the purge would stop there. But by 1954, loyalty oaths reached tenured faculty, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalists, even moderate Republicans. Once dissent became a defect, everyone with an opinion was fair game. The pattern? Abusive authority tests the margins, reads the shrug, then expands the perimeter. Appetite grows with each unpunished bite. So why today's white left whiplash feels so violent? For 2 centuries, white America stood behind the velvet rope. They were the ultimate insiders in this country. It was created of, by, and for them. And so the institutions created by it answered their complaints first. Now the apparatus tilts towards oligarchy. The familiar manager-on-duty response has gone silent. That silence is the sound black communities, indigenous nations, immigrants, and queer people have heard for generations. So the disorientation is inevitable. Paralysis is optional. Abusive authority speaks 2 dialects, cost and consequence. Angry threads, brand-safe statements, or one-day boycotts register as ambient noise. They don't alter the regime's math. So here are the lessons from the archives. The leopards will eat your face. Daniel Shays and Western Massachusetts farmers in 1786 and 1787 learned the hard way that patriot credentials evaporate when the government you helped create thinks that taxation without your representation isn't that big a deal after all. Oops. Institutions won't rescue you once they are compromised, regardless of what you've been reading. Check out the civil rights cases, 1883, the Revolutionary Reconstruction amendments to the Constitution, and Jim Crow metastasized. The same court soon blessed poll taxes, all-white primaries, and separate but equal everything, while Congress pushed legislation like the Chinese Exclusion Act. Once institutions are compromised, they fail to serve your purposes, so you can't keep freighting them with authority that they then will abuse or waste. And then resistance that makes power bleed earns concessions. Montgomery's 1955-56 bus boycott. It bled the transit company of 65% of its revenue. It spooked downtown merchants and scared off investors. Only then did officials sign rather than stall. So what that means now. Stop bargaining on proximity. Your skin color won't buy amnesty once repression becomes policy. Convert outrage into leverage, sustain noncompliance, targeted strikes, legal blitzes, and capital flight reshape cost-benefit sheets in ways that hashtags don't. And follow the veterans of the blast zone. Communities hit first have field manuals. Black Americans and people of color have seen this movie. They know where it ends. Study them, shut up and listen to them, or repeat their casualties. The bottom line, authoritarian power is an autoimmune disease. After devouring the obvious scapegoats, it turns on the body that fed it. If you're outside the command bunker, you're already a marginalized voice. Act collectively, impose costs, or rehearse your concessions while the rope tightens. That's your lesson today from the Resistance History Front Lines.